Welcome to Get Valiant number 137.
Boom. That's how we start episodes around here, is we say boom. No, yeah, number 137, pretty awesome. I think that we should have intro music, and I think that we should use one of my songs that's about Bloodshot. What do you guys think?
Rock and roll, man.
If you can get that to work, I mean, our tech budget is so tiny on this show. If you can make it work, go for it.
I would just send it to Hoosier and expect him to do all the work.
Funny man.
I think that's how it's gone now. Our co-host / producer, has to do everything.
You know what? I can polish a turd, guys. I can polish a turd.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I've been saying, man. Like, we are. This turd is got some polish.
It's polished down to the corns. It's
nice and bright. Yes, indeed. Oh man.
Enough of that talk.
Why? It's kind of funny, actually. That's why people come here, is for the comedy and our good looks.
That's right. That's what I hear. That's what I always hear on the comments that people leave. They're like, "We're here for the comedy and the good looks."
Yeah.
And we're all out of comments.
I would say the looks are the comedy most of the time.
We're all out of looks.
Oh, brother. So we got a little bit of news dropped just today. I love when Valiant is willing to drop news on a Wednesday, because we actually get to talk about it. A lot of times news will drop on Thursdays, and then obviously we just did an episode and we have to wait an entire week to talk about it. So selfishly, I really like when they post stuff on Wednesdays.
I think that's why they're changing it, because of us.
News.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously. I think I think one of us must have said something, and they were like, yeah, let's do exactly what the guys on Get Valiant said.
They've got 25 people who watched, after like a week or so we should do what they want to do.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've got our fingers on the pulse, guys. I mean...
I'm happy for those guys who do the audio, because they don't have to see our beautiful face. Maybe they'll come on to YouTube one time, though.
Yeah, I don't know. No, the best thing about YouTube, honestly, is that we have the live chat. I love when people chat in. That honestly makes the experience way better for everybody, I think, because it enriches the conversation. But yeah, we got some news. Valiant was all over the new previews, that came out this month. And the cover is Bloodshot, as Hoosier had up on the screen a bit ago, and we had images in there of Dr. Tomorrow, in addition to Shadow Man and Ninjak, and it looks like those could be art pulled from the upcoming series that have been teased. So I hope that's the case. And we also got to see that there's a teaser for Harbinger, and we don't know when anything is going to be announced, but we've got a Harbinger teaser. A lot of people are saying that as soon as we get A&A, in addition to everything else that's been teased, then everything will be perfect again. And I like that while we're getting, and I think I've said this before, while we're getting, Harbinger and we're getting Shadow Man and Ninjak, I like that we're also getting something brand new with this Dr. Tomorrow and whatever that turns out to be, because I think that one of the things that Valiant does best is be something new, be something different. And if they're not coming out with new material, new characters, new comics, then it's not as enjoyable to be a reader, to be a fan. So I'm brilliant.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this too, because, and I think we made this comment a week or two ago, but it does seem like Valiant has a really good, smart plan going into 2020 with their publishing line. They know they've got a movie that's going to draw a lot of attention to the books that they put out. They're putting out all those characters that everybody's been clamoring for. So I would be one of those people, though, maybe, who would be like, just give us one more. Just give us Archer and Armstrong, because it does feel like the universe, all the core characters are coming. If we could get these books to be strong and to continue sales, then I think it'd be great to be able to have some of these newer characters popping up too in titles. But it does kind of it's pretty exciting looking at this lineup, because we do have Harbinger that just got teased today, Shadow Man, Ninjak, Exo Manowar. We've got Bloodshot right now, Rise around the corner. there's a lot to be excited about right now, especially if these are the characters that you really like. If you really like these old classic characters, this is what you've been waiting for. So can't wait. The Harbinger one that got put out today, I think was like the icing on the cake with it. It's one of those characters I've been asking, or not characters. It's one of those properties where I've been like, come on, we got to get another Harbinger. You got to have Harbinger out there. It's so essential to the Valiant universe. So there's no art to it. It's just the bird logo, but it's it's exciting. It's exciting just to get that.
It's all very exciting. I know the images, like Eric was alluding to, the images that were on there, and that artwork just looks phenomenal all the way around from each piece. I'm liking the way that looks. But one thing I want to call the notice is the name on the cover in the bottom left-hand corner of that previews catalog is Savage. So that has not really been teased besides being said right there on the previews. And I know a lot of us have been asking for that. That makes me happy. I hope I've been told that B. Claymore has a second arc ready for it, which would be phenomenal. Dr. Tomorrow is going to that superhero look. It's a little bit out of the Valiant realm, but I think there's enough room, and I hope they produce enough books to where we're still getting what we like, and we could try the new things, all for it. That and Visitor, which is also coming out in a month, right? In December, so pretty much a month. I guess my thing that I heard, I got a good authority that this Dr. Tomorrow or Operation Stormbreaker, whatever it may be, is going to be on February. And so I just kind of question if February is the right timing, right when the Bloodshot movie is going to come out, to be putting on like this brand new character, or if coming with something with like Ninjak, who's one of our core characters at that time, might make more sense. I'm not saying that it's necessarily bad, but it's just, I don't know. I guess I want to see how that plays out.
So
go ahead, Eric.
Well, what I would say to that is that to any new reader who's coming into the Valiant universe because they just watched Bloodshot, there's probably no difference in their mind between Dr. Tomorrow or Ninjak in terms of established characters. True. So for them coming in, it has no bearing whatsoever which one of those was chosen. So I think really the only character that people really know from Valiant other than Bloodshot right now, and this is something that I realized especially watching a lot of the people who did their reaction videos to the Bloodshot trailer, a lot of them were saying the only thing that I know about Valiant is Exo Manowar and Bloodshot. So I think that the fact that we're going to get the Bloodshot movie right near the end of February, and then we come into March and a brand new Exo book drops, I think that's perfect. So that to me, like, what comes out in February that's most important in my mind is the first trade of the current Bloodshot series coming out. As long as that's out, people have the opportunity to pick up that trade and grab issue number 4 and jump into this new series. That's all they need. And then, like I said, Exo dropping in March keeps people interested and involved. And as long as the rest of the year plays out the way it looks like it's going to, I think that it's going to be great for existing and longtime fans as well as people coming in. So
yeah.
I
think they got a smart plan.
Yeah, when Henry from Outright Geekery posted this image on Sunday, the first things I noticed on it was it said Harbinger and Savage, which we had no idea necessarily that those were coming up. And then it also mentions on the cover Punk Mambo, which I don't know if they're trying to allude to the trade that came out today, or if there's future plans next year for Punk Mambo. And personally, I would be excited for another Punk Mambo series. I thought the last one was great. Let's keep it coming. Just keep the character out there.
You got Punk Mambo and then Roku from Cullen Bunn, so if he goes back to Punk Mambo, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, keep him busy here at Valiant.
Absolutely.
All for it. Yeah, so there's quite a bit, and more in 2020. Yeah, I'm excited for the lineup that we got going. And one thing that we got last week, I think we got this Thursday, so we didn't get to talk about it last week, but it moves over to this week, is the solicits that are coming out for January. And in January is Quantum and Woody, which is another one of those known characters that many people that don't know a lot about Valiant. Some reason Quantum and Woody is one of the books people know about. And Ryan Brown and Christopher Hastings on this. I'm excited to see what Ryan Brown does with this, man. So I did think it was questionable that they keeping A&A on the shelf and putting out a second Quantum and Woody book right now. But I think if they got the right creative team, rock and roll with it.
So yeah, I think that's what it really comes down to. It's just like if you have the people who are ready, if the pitch is there, because maybe there at the time was not a good pitch for what they want to do with Archer and Armstrong. So I just think you got to go with it.
I think with Archer and Armstrong, they know they have to be more careful. When Quantum and Woody isn't well received, it's like, oh, I'm not a super big fan of this book. If you put out a Harbinger book and it's not well received, people lose their fucking minds. So, like, I think it's a bigger deal. You have to be that much more careful. I mean, look what happened. Honestly, Rafer had a good start to a run on Harbinger Renegade. Was it as good as Dicer? Maybe not. But you know what? It could have been really, really good in the long run if we would have given it a chance. But I think a lot of people just decided right away they didn't like it, and they flipped out and went nuts until it got canceled. And even after. You know, so I think that there's got to be a much more careful approach. But I do think that the lineup looks really good for January. Quantum and Woody, I'm really excited about. Have we gotten to see some interior pages? I feel like I remember them showing a couple
Not
samples.
yet, besides I think that cover possibly is Ryan, but he said he was finishing up the last issue of Curse Words, and so that's what's kind of been pushing him back, so I believe he's on it now. He's been used to doing a monthly book with Curse Words and getting that produced, so I'm sure he's on it now, getting a couple in deep, so...
Well, I'm really stoked to see the interior art. What I've seen of his work, which isn't a ton, but what I have seen has been good. I've heard good things about that writer, and I'm a really big fan of Quantum and Woody. They're definitely among my, top Valiant properties. Honestly, I would put them up, and I know this is probably heresy to like Josh and a lot of people, but I would put Quantum and Woody above Harbinger as my favorites. Like, I love Dicer's Run, but if you tell me a new Harbinger book is coming versus a new Quantum and Woody book is coming, I'm stoked for Quantum and Woody.
Well, that's okay. That's what makes all this great, is that we all have things that we like more than, something else. Because I know when I think about like the stuff that I love, like I do love Harbinger, I love Archer and Armstrong, but I'm glad that you like Quantum and Woody that much, and I like Quantum and Woody a lot too. Quantum and Woody is one of those things that it feels like a lot of fans just don't really gravitate to it all. So it's always a hard sell. People don't like comedy. And I think a lot of times, even when I hear a lot of criticism of Fred Van Lente's work on Archer and Armstrong, that's one of the things people don't like. They don't like how silly or funny it is. They want it a little more serious. But I think it works with those characters. But you know what? It just takes the right approach, because we both like what Elliot did on Quantum and Woody, and it took a little more of a serious approach. But I like that, man. I'm glad that you like that more than, like, I think Harbinger's an easy thing for like a lot of people to like, but I'm glad you like Quantum and Woody that much, dude.
So I will agree with Sean saying in the comments. I'm glad to hear Sean's excited about the stuff that's coming, because I know that he's not afraid to say, obviously, when he's not excited, which is obviously a good quality to have, to be honest about it. But I'm glad to see that Sean's excited. I think that a lot of us are really excited about the things that we're hearing that are coming. And he's saying that it doesn't seem like we're getting any Anipata titles. And I think that, like, that does kind of suck. I would love to see an Eternal Warrior book. Bring Alex back, the Inquisition writer.
But we are looking at the solicits. Did you see that cover of Rye number 3? That we do see an Eternal Warrior cover in Rye number 3.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, that's true. We do have, Galad is in the future. We've got old man Galad. But I would really love to see a Galad and Tama book written by him. I think that is something that, if Incursion is any indication whatsoever about how he can write those characters, that's a book that I think we really need. A Galad solo book like Wrath, I think, would be awesome. But, I mean, we are getting really good books. We're getting, Quantum Woody, Psylords, we're getting... run through them, Hoosier.
Okay. So what we got going on, guys, what they gave us is Quantum and Woody number 1 to get started. The Visitor's getting number 2. It's a number 2 out of 5 with that, and that is the Paul Livitz title there. Rye, Dan Ebnett, and Juan Jose Reap, number 3. Roku, it's the last issue of Roku. It's only a 4-issue. That's Colin Bunn. We got Bloodshot number 5. So, yes, we'll talk a little bit more about that. We got Psylords number 8. And then we got the trade of the Killers KI6, which has yet to be explained, the KI6. Hopefully we get that next week. So
one thing I wanted to throw out there real quick, with Shadow Man coming up, which we don't have a solicit for yet, but it's going to happen sometime next year, the way Galad has kind of played into the Valiant universe as of late, he could very well be in that book. Because with the way that Incursion kind of left off, and with the kind of the things that they were dealing with in that book, we don't know what happened with Tom at the end of that, because they used like necromantic energy to bring her back. So there's a whole lot of stuff that could end up tying into Galad, which if that's what it takes to bring him back, I'm okay with. That was a good place for them to leave both of those characters at. But yeah, I mean, like the solicits are okay. One complaint I do have is I wish they're going with a better cover for the Killers trade paperback. I'm not feeling it on that one, but that's just me. I think those John Boy Meyer covers just really pop and they have good color.
Absolutely, I can agree with that. So, yeah, and then I mean, we're interested. We don't get much on the Visitor with the solicit. We just know that he's targeting a group of revolutionary international scientists in New York City. We'll see more about that, and then just all the way around. So see where Psylords takes us.
The Visitor design, those Visitor covers, they look so badass because his design is just epic, and I cannot wait to see how MJ Kim interprets all that, because she's a great
one. The covers, just looking at covers, is Psylords. I feel like their covers, we're getting a lot of the same looking covers, just slightly tweaked in a different way. All 4 of them running at you. Just kind of looking through the covers on those. I feel like we're getting a lot of the same ones. But
Roku covers, those ones
some of them.
I think the Roku covers are some of the best.
The one
ones.
we'll talk about here pretty soon. Yeah.
So speaking of which, do we have was there any other real news that came out? I mean, we're all still kind of basking in the glow of the Bloodshot trailer, but other than that, do we have any other real news besides the couple of teases and the
I think the only thing that, I guess, real news, I don't think it's real news, but it's something I'm setting up here in Seattle, is to get a Bloodshot viewing party going for the first night. So try to encourage Valiant fans to do that. Try to get together with some other fans and hit up the movie theaters and have fun and enjoy it, and let people see the fandom, and hopefully that can show around.
Just leave the guns at home and the face paint. Just don't get that much into it.
Man,
people showing up at.
They'd be like, "What are these guys with these white faces?" Don't do white face.
No, I hope that you get a good turnout and get to have a fun viewing party. I'm sure that it's just going to be my wife and I going to see it when I see it for my first time, and I imagine
that's how it will be.
I think we got like 12 people so far that are on the event page that have said they're going to go, and that's months away. But there's cool. People that are like, oh, that'd be fun. So.
Yeah. I swear I've met like a bunch of local Valiant fans every time I go up to Seattle, so you should have good luck and a good turnout for doing something like that.
Yeah. So do we get into books now? Do we start spoiling some books?
I think we will spoil some books. So
let's spoil away.
Yeah. So as we had kind of discussed earlier, I think we can talk first about Roku number 1. Just hop right into that book. It is a number 1. So this is something that I've said many times over the history of this podcast. I think that number 1 issues are extremely difficult to pull off well, and they're really, 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 really easy to mess up. Even Killers, which I seriously, absolutely 100% love, that is one of my favorite books, even that one I wasn't really sold until the 2nd issue. So I want to make sure that we're all keeping that mindset as we go into Roku number 1, because I think it's important that we think about that fact. So I would say that the first half of this issue, roughly, I honestly had a bit of a feeling of, why am I reading this? Like, okay, there's cool stuff happening. The art's decent. It's not my favorite, but it's not terrible. but why am I reading this? And then it was in the second half of the issue where I really felt like everything picked up. I got much more engaged and invested in the story, and I thought that it ended up being a really good issue.
Yeah.
I kind of feel a little bit the same way. I know that I read this book about 3 times, and I read it twice today, and I wasn't a huge fan of it. But I mean, it wasn't like a terrible book. It wasn't bad. It was an okay book, and I know that I think I maybe had a little bit more higher expectations coming off of Punk Mambo and how well Cullen did with that. Where this one it's a totally different story, totally different. And he's taken Roku in much different places that Punk Mambo would be traveling in. So I know for me, when I was done reading this, I was just kind of like, okay, but I didn't love it. It was okay. I mean, I buy these books, so it's like, I'll still be buying an issue of each of these, but I was like, it's just okay. And I can tell you, like, I was not much of a fan of the art.
Oh, I'm going to be right there with you in the art section there, Josh. It's not like it was bad, though, either. But again, from what we've come to get used to with Valiant, with high-quality art, this Roku and Livewire haven't done what they did. I'm pretty in the middle with this one. I didn't love it at all. There was some plot holes that didn't make sense within the universe, like having a auction with government officials over weaponry with a bunch of crime bosses, and yet you don't have Ninjak there knowing about it. You don't have, so maybe down the way.
But Ninjak is kind of off the grid. He's not really with MI6, so we don't know what his status is within the universe.
Yeah. I just think it's weird to have such a big auction that they're building this up to, and there's no other Valiant, you know what I mean, bigger superhero. I don't know. I just feel like Ninjak should have been there. It just seems kind of interesting there. And then, I was trying to get over the art, but it wasn't bad, though, either. Don't get me wrong. I still enjoyed it. I thought it was a smooth read for the most part. And I think Sean put it in the chat that I liked how it kind of acknowledged her backstory real quick and easy. I do like that they did that. And, all the way around, it is still the first issue. Colin has done some decent work in the past, enough to give a little faith that that this is just the first issue of what he's got to give us a pretty decent story.
I think one thing that was a little bit off-putting for me too on this was that it seemed like whenever a major character in the issue showed up, like major to this story, not because we haven't seen some of these people ever before, they all knew who she was, and the one character that engages in combat with Roku seems to know a lot about her. We don't know anything about who she is, and even in the story within Roku's head, she just kind of plays it off like mysterious person. We'll figure out who she is another time or something like that. And I was like, but we're reading this. We want to know who this person is. We need to know what's going on, And then when the weapon is just basically a girl with internet built into her neck, I was just like, okay, cool, but
that's more than that. It's a lot.
I know. She's like a Wi-Fi hotspot too. Okay.
No, she's way more than that. It's like knowing all. Oh my god. So for me,
I'm just kidding, Eric. Jeez.
Well, this is serious time. Okay, we gotta be. This is the time. No smiles. This is all seriousness. No, I think that, yeah, exactly. Now I you smiled again. Son of a... Anyway, so I do think that, honestly, the more I think about this book, I did only read it once, but the more I think about it and everything that happened in it and the way that it was approached, I do think it ended up being a really good issue. Again, the beginning of it was a little bit slow going at first, and again, art is not my favorite. I think we're all on the same page there. I think I liked it maybe a little bit more than you guys did, other than a few panels where the anatomy kind of bugged me. Everything else I thought looked solid and stylized. It wasn't, your Miko or Louis LaRosa or whatever. It's not one of those, Kafu hyper-realist type artists, but that's okay. I think that this is a really kinetic book, and the art can by being, more stylized and more kind of all over the place. And yeah. Anyway, Story wise, I like the characters. I like the way that this was approached, and something that Sean mentioned in the comments is the fact that they're actually acknowledging Roku's full power set. Because when she was introduced in Ninjak, she could control people's minds to a certain degree, and she had these mental abilities in addition to all her hair stuff, and we haven't seen any of that in a really long time. It seems like a lot of that was kind of just forgotten that it existed. And now that we're coming into Roku having her own book, it seems like Cullen Bunn actually went back and read all the Roku stuff and actually knows what her full power set is, and is actually utilizing it in this story. I think that is one of the things that makes me like the story, and I do think the weapon that Josh so flippantly mocked was a really cool idea. I think that's a cool concept. A kid that knows secrets instinctually is something that would absolutely be very sought after by the type of people in this book searching after her, that are going to bid for her. I think that, honestly, like I said, the more I think about it, the more I like this book. I'm going to give it, this is tough. I'm going to give it a solid 3.75 or a soft 4.
I'm going to go about 3.5 on it for me. Like I said, it's not a bad book. It's just not a really strong book for me. But one thing I did like about it, I think the artist I think it's Howard Chaykin who did the pre-order edition cover. I think that cover is badass. Yeah. And I do agree. I'm glad that they did go back and check out what her power set is. I like that, as Sean put it, she's not just a hair ninja. Or as some people would call her, like, she's not just Medusa with like ninja backstory.
Right.
So she is a cool character. We'll see what the second issue's about. There was some pretty gruesome stuff in here. Lots of her stabbing people through the face and through the head with her hair, and using her mental abilities to make people kill themselves. So she's not. One thing that I worried about was that this was just going to be one of those like heroic redemption stories. It doesn't quite play out like that, and I don't think it can when your main character is making people kill themselves. So that's a good thing, because it still does keep the character a little bit original to what she is and what we expect of her. Yeah, we'll just see what the next issues go.
That's interesting.
Oh, and yeah,
3.5. That's interesting. You like that pre-order cover? That was the one I didn't like. It just.
I like Chaykin's work a lot.
What's the one where she's like shooting at you? Like she's jumping and shooting at you? Who did that one? You know which one I'm talking about?
Gosh, I'm looking at him right now. The one where she has all the guns in her hair? Is that the one you're talking about?
No. Oh, she's not shooting. The one where
where she's doing that little jump. That one's gorgeous. And then I always like Johnson's work. Dave Johnson's work. I think he does some cool covers. They're very stylized.
I really love that blank one.
Hey, the blank one, you can get whatever you want on it, Josh.
On point.
You can draw stick figures.
That's an on point.
There you go.
I will say.
It is gorgeously white face. And but I'm gonna be like right there with you guys. I'm gonna say with the story, I'm gonna say a 4. With the art, I'm gonna say a 3. So I'm gonna get it at a 3.5 where I'm at. I did pull up some old art that we have of Roku to kind of just compare of it when you look at it side by side. And it's a big difference, and that's kind of why I'm kind of doing that. But ultimately, 3.5. I want to see what happens, and I'm interested in this little girl that we saw at the end. So maybe she'll be Josh's superpower there.
Those Clay Man pages look awesome, by the way.
Yeah, they all look great. Now I got to go back and read. That's all from the Kent run, isn't it? I got to go back.
Yeah, some of it's from the Kent run, some of it's But it's just when you see her like that, and then you see what we got. It's not that it's bad. It's just that stuff is just that good.
But and Clay Man is just kind of blown up as a DC artist now too. Which is too bad, because I always just bring that guy back. He did such great action books, but he's like a big time artist now.
That's the thing, is Valiant has to either find artists that are better than they're getting credit for and get them before they get scooped up by the bigger publishers, or they have to convince artists away from, basically lure artists away from the other publishers and get them to work at Valiant. And I think both of those are difficult things to do. So the fact that Valiant has had as good of art as they have for as many titles as they have is impressive. Is every book going to be perfect? No. But we can talk about a book that has perfect art by going into Bloodshot #2. And I remember showing this panel when I had only the...
I have it up, so it'll cycle through that.
Cover Pro.
Boom.
So... Yeah, I showed this cover or this image, and I'm sure it's on there better than you can see it by me showing it. But I showed that image without colors and seeing it with the colors. Oh my god!
Dollhouse is great, dude. I like Dollhouse's work, and I think he does pretty good with Brett Booth. So,
100% agree. Dollhouse is pretty much perfect on everything he does, and I think honestly, man, like the Brett Booth art in here is exactly what I want to see in a Bloodshot book. I love the way he draws Bloodshot. To me, like,
yeah, and
I don't know. I'm a really, really big fan of the way he draws.
And what's
Bloodshot.
the guy's name doing inks? Because he's killing it too.
Corona.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't he ink a lot of like Rob Liefeld stuff?
No
It
idea.
makes sense. I mean, it kind of gives me a little bit of that feel. So.
Are there any feet in this shoe?
It's not Liefeld's art. There might be feet. I see some. Yes.
Yeah, no, the feet are fine.
If he's inked any toes or feet, then we're no. I saw Bloodshot's boots, so I think we're good. We're safe.
Yeah. No. Honestly, guys, like I said, art in this is exactly what I want to see from Bloodshot art. The writing on this too. Like I know a lot of people are still kind of hung up on the continuity aspect, but we've been told that there is going to be some tie-in. I remember asking people at Valiant, like, when are we going to see this stuff? And they're like, look, all we can tell you is what's already been said, and that's that, it will happen eventually when it's right for the story. And that's okay for me. Like, Bloodshot should be hiding Magic and Jesse away from whatever other shit he's doing. Like, they should be hidden away. They shouldn't be on in the middle of the action. And
they should be in a car parked somewhere, just like hanging out, letting the engine run, until he's done murdering 50 soldiers.
That's it.
God,
we'll just take Jessie back to the dead side. Let her be what she is.
Yeah, I mean, not to hijack where you're going with this, because I know where you're going with this, but I do feel like not every storyline that we bring forward needs to go back to the past. Because, where would they be in this story? I mean, there's a lot of heavy shit going on in this book, and you can't just have Magic and Jesse running around and Bloodhound. Maybe you could have Bloodhound, but you can't just have them the whole time. And like Eric was saying, the art is just beautiful in this. Brett Booth draws such an excellent Bloodshot. I love this book, man. Like, I just feel like, and I've said this before, totally broken record, I just feel like this is the best thing they could have done coming off of Rising Spirit. Tons of action. This is exactly what you want to read in a Bloodshot book. You want to see him using his capabilities, getting into battles. One thing I had said to Eric and John when we had gotten the ash cans was, I just can't wait to see this book in color. And this character, Eidolon, she looks like she's basically disrupting the nanites within Bloodshot's body. His body is like starting to unform. This last page, I don't know how well this shows up, is so cool. It's so detailed.
Yeah. I was looking at that too. Last page is just phenomenal.
And what did they call this group?
And I am loving
What did they call this group in that last page? The Black Bar. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
They do look like some old Liefeld 80s or 90s Wildcats team that's coming in there, some of the villains, but it's good. It's lively. It's action. It's making it fun to read, and I've enjoyed that. And I mean, surprise, surprise, Tim Seeley and Brett Booth know what they're doing. They kind of have some great action coming on here, and I don't know. I've actually heard some people criticize that Booth is not a great fit for Bloodshot, and I agree with Josh that he is great. I like it, and I think it's awesome. When a guy's at war, though, you don't need to know all of his backstory. You don't need to know his family. You don't need to know all of that at this point, especially when you're getting going, and then you can reintroduce it later. I always think it's interesting how people, they want to have a good beginning. Give me the origin story from the very beginning and let's go. And we don't need that. I like kind of how it can start here, and then you can learn more about the person as you keep going. So, I dug it.
Yeah. Well, I think we're dealing with a different type of story too, and one that doesn't need to have those characters. Because if you look at Lemire's run, which we're always going to go back and kind of judge everything that happens with Bloodshot with what Lemire did, but that story was a slow build. It introduced those characters and it worked them in, but it wasn't just throwing a bunch of stuff at us. And I just think this book, it's a little bit more faster paced. There's a lot of action going on here. And, just like I said earlier, I just don't think they really fit within the context of what's being told here.
But
one thing I do want to throw out before we end this episode, which we're not close to doing that or anything, but I've been kind of critical of the Declan Shelby cover for issue 1, the A cover. The A cover on issue 2 is awesome. And it's another Shelby cover, but this one I feel like really does fit the style of
that will be the trade dress for the
Whereas
trade.
I thought, I saw that last night too when I was looking on Amazon at that, and I think that's a great fit for the book. Like, this is a great cover.
And let me go back where you were talking about Lemire and how we go back to Lemire's. You got to mind you that what Shazinski did, and then I believe Christos Gage with Hardcore did, that's what built up that Lemire. So it wasn't that Lemire just started there. There was a bunch of build-up from the previous runs at the beginning. So you got to get to that point to get to where you can get to that depth. And we can't just sit in that depth of Lemire and feel sorry for us and depressed about this guy for how many years. I mean, I love it. Lemire's run was amazing. But I'm excited to see some of this action and get back to why people loved Bloodshot. And then we can get the depth pushed in as it keeps coming along. And, I'm off. I like where it's at. So no complaints on that we're not seeing Jesse and Magic just yet. But like I say, Seeley has said down the road it's coming. So
yeah, I'm I couldn't be more excited about this book. I totally agree with Josh. Talking about the A cover on number 1 not being the best, but we've got this really, really awesome cover for number 2. And then, we've talked about how amazing the interior art is. I do think that it'll be cool when we get those characters, and it'll be cool when we see more of where things have come since Lemire. But Lemire spent so much time inside Bloodshot's head, and that's really where the vast majority of his run took place, that it's really nice to see him, or to see the character from, we're really only seeing other characters' perspective of him. How they view him is what we're seeing in this book, and that's a really exciting change. And again, like the high action, to me, this book, between the writing and the art, I would give it a 4.75. This is damn near perfection as far as I'm concerned. It didn't have quite the reading experience that I would need to give it a full 5, but it's really, really, really close.
I'm just a hair lower. I'm at about 4.5 on this one. I'm just loving this. This is exactly what we need. Also, this issue has a ton of great covers. That pre-order edition cover, which we see a glimpse of that image inside the issue itself, too. Looks great. Also, I'm a big Simon Bisley fan. I love that cover of him where he's just standing in the water. There's a body in the water already. I just dig it. All the books look great. So, yeah, very happy.
I'm going to be right there, kind of. I'm going to say minus 2.5 because we haven't seen him eat his protein yet, and we need to get that in our Bloodshot. He's got to get his protein in. And then this is being a
protein shake.
Then we get this 3-issue arc. So this is the middle of the story. We've got one more issue to end it. And I got an idea, you know what I mean? We've got a pretty good idea of what's going on right now, but just happening so fast, kind of want a little bit more in there, get a little bit more of who these villains are a little bit. But I'm going to be right, 4.5. And, let's get it going for number 3 now. So I'm loving Bloodshot. It's that and Killers are what I'm enjoying the most right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm really curious to see, and this was mentioned in the Valiant group, I'm really curious to see, with this being a 3-issue arc, I'm really curious to see how issue 3 is an end to the arc, because it really feels like we're just getting going. So I'm really, that's one of the things that I'm really wondering about as we move forward from this issue.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to have to be a lot that happens. Maybe there doesn't have to be, but it does kind of feel like we're just kind of scraping the surface of what's going on. And maybe these 3-issue arcs are overall just one big arc, and the way they'll separate them is just by these 3 issues with some kind of like minor breaking point or minor ending point.
Yeah,
but it's good so far.
It's reminding me a little bit of EXO with Kent, how that started, because it was action, and then we kind of got to see where it went. So hopefully seeing more of that with we go, and hopefully it just keeps the story moving at a quick pace, which I think is where Bloodshot probably fits best, because he probably would have a quick, fast-paced life anyway. So, and I see Heather's hand, so hello.
Yeah, she brought in my mini mates. Actually, you can't quite see them. I'm going to put them on something a little bit higher. So you can...
Did you guys do your pre-order of the action figure?
Not yet. I saw that I had some time to wait, and so I was going to wait until I got a little bit closer to maybe Christmas or something like that, and see if Santa.
Well, since it's pre-order, you don't get paid till it comes out. You're basically agreeing to pay for it, and then you get the lowest price that comes between then and there. So,
yeah, I definitely pre-ordered it immediately.
The one thing I've had a harder time finding is I've been trying to order the Bloodshot Storefolio from somewhere, and I have not been able to find that on Amazon, and on eBay they're a little bit pricier than I would like to pay.
Where did you get yours, Eric?
So
I got mine by ordering the those one, I don't remember even what variants they were, but it came with like 4 or 5 different Bloodshot #1 variants.
Oh wow.
So that's how I got it. Like, I bought the variants and it came with a free Storefolio.
Dude, that rocks.
Heck damn.
So yeah, that was how I got mine, and honestly, Bob, a significant portion of the reason I got those variants. They're really, really cool, because it came with 2 different variants, each with the trade dress and each virgin. So that was really cool to see those, to get all those. I got them put away, or I would show them, but yeah, and I got old stuff up on my little display here.
Dude,
but
I went to Jet City Comic Con this last weekend, and I got some good deals on some Rise Zeros and some Eternal Warrior 4, and went to the booth next door, and the guy wanted a whole lot of money, so I'm glad I got one guy who is still selling them at a fair price, and the other one, he saw the trailer. You could tell he saw the trailer. It was dead center in his little stand, and it's like new Vin Diesel movie, and he had that Eternal Warrior, I think a raw one graded, like I think he was trying to sell it for $150. A raw one, yeah, it was bad. So I'm glad.
Yeah,
I picked up about 3 Rise, an Eternal Warrior, a couple Bloodshot 6 and 7s, to get some Ninjak first appearances. So it was a good weekend, and then yesterday my MLS team is going to make it to the MLS Cup, so I got to give my shout out to my football club.
You know what's weird is I just went through my entire Valiant collection, so I have everything organized, and right now I'm just going through and databasing everything that I have, and I've got a crazy amount of everything. I've got 1 copy of Bloodshot 6. I've got like 15 copies for some reason of Eternal Warrior 5, which I don't know how that even happened, but I've only got 1 first Ninjak, so I need to rectify that situation at some point.
I love Eternal Warrior 5. I actually have a 9.8 of it, because I went and bought 9.8s of all what I consider to be the 4 Bloodshot firsts. His first cameo, first full appearance, first cover, and then his first issue. So I got 9.8s of all those. But I mean, it's weird that you've only got 1 first Ninjak. I don't know how, but I've come across so many of those in the wild, like back before anybody knew what
you could find them cheap again.
I've got a ton of number 7.
Yeah, I think you could.
I've got a ton of number
You can find
7.
them cheap again because New
Yeah.
Jack Versus didn't bring up the price like everybody thought. So, so you can
Yeah.
find them cheap again, and yeah.
I'd actually like to get one graded. I'm not big on graded books. I bought some recently because the deal was too good to pass up. But I'd like to get a graded Bloodshot 6. It's a great cover too. That cover of him, of Bloodshot falling out of the plane.
Yeah.
So it's just like it
Yeah.
looks good, and it would look good encased in like a CGC
And
slab.
another thing that I picked up is I found in the 50 cent bin a couple of the Operation Stormbreakers, just in case this Dr. Tomorrow goes off and there's your a new first appearance. So just hopefully, we'll see.
Well, that's pretty smart.
50 cents.
I've only got one of that, but I've never thought much of it until just this moment.
I mean, if you like seeing Exo Manowar in wearing a swastika, I guess. So.
Yeah.
I think the only, other than a couple of random like Shadow Man issues, I think that I inherited from somebody's collection that just was like, oh, I don't want these here, have them. I think other than that, the only Acclaim stuff I have is Bloodshot, because I had to have a full run of the Acclaim Bloodshot, and they did do a variant of Bloodshot #1 in the Acclaim era. So I've got one of those too.
Yeah, I still have a few Acclaim issues to pick up, and it's just not real big on what I'm trying to do. Like right now, the thing I'm actually trying to work on is get every variant of Wrath of the Eternal Warrior. I've been trying to do it with Bloodshot and with Harbinger, and those books just don't exist. The ones that I don't have, I can't find. Asking for them has turned up 0. But I have pretty much almost everything of Wrath. I just need maybe like 10 books. They're all available. It's just a matter of just getting them when I have the chance to do it cheap.
I thought about trying to do it with the Valiant, but that's tough, man. Some of those are not cheap.
Yeah.
Wrath would be a good one. I might have to join you on that journey.
Yeah, it's a great series. It's so good. It's so enjoyable. And when I was going through the boxes, I just found that I had so many variants already. So I think I need to track down a couple shop variants and just a couple of the later ones. There's nothing too expensive. It's all out there that I don't have. So, but I don't know. Don't need to rush it.
I've got more than I thought I did was Book of Death. I actually ended up getting a ton of those covers. So I don't know if I have how close I am to everything, but I got a ton of those too. But yeah, man, like I said, really interested to see where Bloodshot goes. I think we got to give Roku time to really pick up and see how that book ends up being. We're getting, 4 or 5 issues? 4 issues.
4
right?
issues.
4.
So we'll see how it ends up going. We've still got 75% of that left to go. What's coming next week?
Next week, we got a little bit of Killers closing out and Livewire closing out. So 2 ends of 2 books coming to an end.
Oh, wow.
So Livewire coming to an end. I think the book ran its course. I don't think I've been as negative about this last arc as others have been. I still have been enjoying it. Yeah, exactly. I've still been enjoying this last arc. But I do also think that this story has come to an end. I'd still be down for Vita continuing to write Livewire. I don't think that necessarily they are done with the book or with the character. But I do think that this story and this title makes sense to end now. Like, this has been a story about Amanda coming back from where she was after Harbinger Wars 2, and I think we've gotten to that point. Now, obviously, it remains to be seen how this series ends, but I think that it served its purpose as a title.
I hope it ends with next Harbinger. Livewire to be seen again in Harbinger. I hope we see her involved with that, and we get to see some of the close of what happened with the life and death of Toyo Harada, see the aftermath with that with Harbinger, and we get to see like Pete's revival, Pete's story of him coming back together, and then we get to see Livewire kind of thrown back in the mix of it a little bit within the Psyot world, and maybe hopefully have some secret weapons thrown in there too.
I wouldn't mind seeing the Alpha pop up within that book sometime too. They were building up to that,
And
then
Solomon
nothing
as
happened.
well.
I think
And I feel like there's
I think said that in the chat that he wants to see the Harbinger book pick up and tell the Alpha story, Solomon and all that.
Yeah, and I think with who knows what they're going to do with Harada. He doesn't have to be there, at least not anytime soon. So they can build up something different, which would be really unique with what that property has been. Because if you read the old one going back to the 90s, they mostly deal with Harada the whole time. And so if they had different people to deal with, it would be such new territory. It might be kind of weird, but it probably needs to happen just so that they can do something different with those characters.
Yep. Well, let's see it, man. So, yeah.
Well, the Killer's ending, dude, that book has been so good. And you know what I want to see at the end of Killers? Speaking of Livewire ending in, see Livewire next in Harbinger, I want to see at the end of Killers, see these characters next in Ninjak or wherever, written by B. Claymore. I really, 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 really hope that B. Claymore is the one writing the new Ninjak series. Obviously, it can still be good if somebody else is writing it, but that would be my preference.
Yeah.
Like, he's done so amazing with Killers that I would love to see.
And I'm going to go right in.
He's 2 for 2.
I'm going to agree with what Sean says, that he wouldn't mind seeing Killers come into something all new. And I'm going to agree with that. Like, I think it's in the right spot to have something more with this KI6 that that they're producing, and seeing something more with those villains, with those characters that are coming out with B. Claymore. So, but I hope he takes a break and does Savage and then comes back and does it.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. I would definitely be okay with Killers continuing to be a thing. Like, if we got another mini, like 4 or 5 issue series or 6 issue series of Killers, I would totally be happy. Give us 5 or 6 issues a year of that written by B. Claymore, and I will be happy.
Yeah, I feel like they're not going to wrap this entire storyline up at the end of issue 5. I feel like with the Jonin and these characters, they have such amazing abilities. There's no way they're going to wrap it up in one more issue. There's going to be a lingering threat somewhere. Someone's going to have to survive. You can keep producing stories with these characters, and they're very interesting. And I think that at one point it might have seemed like a hard sell having a Ninjak universe story that doesn't involve Ninjak at all, but it totally works. B. Claymore really did it. He did the work on it, and give us more of these characters. They're awesome.
Yeah, and hopefully, with Savage being mentioned on that previews cover, as far as referencing Valiant 2020, hopefully that means that we've got B. Claymore giving us another Savage book. So yeah, I mean, if we get Killers and then Savage and then another Killer story, I think that would be living in an ideal world, right? I mean, I would be super stoked about that. But it'll be interesting to see what comes next with a lot of these books. Stoked to see how the endings go for Livewire and Killers. This has been Get Valiant episode, like some big number.
The big 137, man.
And shout out to all our viewers on today too, man. So thanks for being on here. Like and subscribe if you're new to us. We do this every new comic book day, given schedules permit. But yeah.
Yeah, and if you're listening, you can get a hold of us on various places. We have the Get Valiant page on Facebook. We have the Get Valiant on Twitter. You can even email us at getvaliant@gmail.com, which never happens anymore. It's been a few years. But and hey, if nothing else, if you're listening or if you're watching, there's a subscribe button on YouTube. You can click on that and follow our adventures every week or every other week, whenever it happens.
Nice.
Absolutely. Yeah, so thanks to Captain Arachnospider, thanks to Sean Hayes, as always. William Pace, I know, has been hanging out as well. And I don't know if I missed anybody, but David was hanging out with us as well. So, yeah, thanks to everybody who's participating in the live chat. Anybody who wants to, help us make these episodes better, hang out with us in the live chat, give us your input. That's definitely one of the fun things about doing this live. and having this platform on YouTube. But again, thanks everybody for watching, for listening, whether it's live or not. Get Valiant number 137. Signing off. I'm Eric Baumgart.
I'm Josh
And I am
Rathbun.
John Hoosier. See you guys.
I hope that. Yeah, I hope you stay.